Hey now.
You know what it is.
Friday.
Friday, also known as Juneteenth today.
Oh, yes.
Today.
We are blackety black today.
Blackety black, everybody. Yeah. We're going to be celebrating Juneteenth, or celebrating the right word. Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah, celebration. Yeah.
Celebration, yeah. And in the second half hour of the 11 o'clock. Right now, let's get a check of your forecast first outside. It's a warm day out there, you guys. I don't know if you've been outside, but definitely a little hazy. You can see the haze as we look towards Navy Pier. We've got an air pollution action day today. So again, if you have friends or family members who are sensitive, they should stay indoors as much as possible today because this would possibly bother them. As I mentioned, going to be a hot one today. It's already 85 degrees. We're looking at a high of 92 today and just sunny skies, a little bit of haze, and then maybe later this afternoon, a little bit of cloud cover out there. Saturday, we're going to get a little bit warmer. Well, it's about the same, but it's going to feel warmer because it's going to be more humid out. We're going to have mostly cloudy skies. It'll be hot and humid through most of the day on Saturday. And then as we get into the afternoon, the evening hours, we have the chance of some showers and thunderstorms going into Sunday morning as well. Scattered in nature, but you could run into a couple. And then on Sunday, we're going to have some isolated thunderstorms possible in the morning, some showers also possible. Most of it will keep to the morning hours, and then we're going to have mostly cloudy skies in the afternoon with a shower possible as well, high of 85. Monday, 88 will be your high, partly sunny skies, warm again, scattered showers and thunderstorms a possibility. Tuesday, a little bit cooler and less humid. It'll be nice, 80 degrees. You get some clouds moving in the afternoon. And then Wednesday, 78 is your high. Variable sunshine out there, chances of showers and thunderstorms again. Same thing with Thursday, 82, mostly sunny skies and just a few chances of some showers and thunderstorms. 'Tis the season. The air gets unstable when it's warm and humid like this.
This season, indeed.
Warm and thick. Okay, guys, moving on, we actually have our next guest in. We want to welcome Yvonne Blake as well as Alexis McDowell and Tanya Primus. They're with the Chicago chapter of Jack and Jill of America. And they actually just hosted this protest for children that was centered around children and try to get them involved and understand the voice that they have in the community and the power behind that voice. So we want to go ahead and welcome them in. It's certainly an important conversation that we're always working to facilitate with children. I mean, I guess with everyone, because we need everyone to be involved. So let's go ahead and welcome them in. We thank them so much for joining us so we can continue to have this conversation all year long. Hello.
Hello.
Hey there. Good to see you guys.
Alexis, can you hear us? You might be muted.
Still don't hear you.
How about that?
There we
go.
Yay.
We got it figured out.
Wonderful, wonderful. Look at all these faces in here. Okay, so who do we have? We've got Yvonne Blake. Thanks for joining us. Okay, Alexis.
Jaden.
And Tanya. Okay, and then I see some children here. Thank you all for being here. So Yvonne, can you fill us in on what happened?
So basically, two of the mothers in our organization, Tanya Primus and Alexis McDowell, came to me and said, we really want to do something. What do you think about this idea? And we ran from there within a week. We're a children's organization, and we felt that this was a perfect vehicle for our children, not only to see us protesting and see protest in action, but also to give them a voice. Our children were saying they were angry. My sons had actually gone to Minneapolis without my permission and unbeknownst to me to protest. That's how serious it was to them. So this was a chance for me as a mother to say to our children, we hear you, and we're going to provide some safe opportunities for you to be heard, as well as to share in that experience with them. And we wanted it to be multicultural. So that's kind of how it happened. So we were very happy to have it all overcome.
Sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Is that your son right next to you?
That's Jaden, yes.
Hey, Jaden.
You know Jaden, don't you? You look familiar. I was gonna say you might.
How you doing?
Good to see you, man. Why'd you choose to go to Minneapolis and protest?
Well, in Chicago at the time, there wasn't any protests happening. This was before everybody in Chicago started protesting. This was like right when he died. We went up like I want to say the next 2 days, and we just drove. Me, my brother, and my friend. We just drove the 8 hours to go be a part of history.
Was it like an impulse for you? You just felt like you had to be there?
We feel like it was important enough that we just had to go because this has been happening to us. We've been seeing it happen a lot, and we just have to make a change.
I appreciate you wanting to get your voice heard. As a mama, you scared the crap out of me. So what a wonderful thing for you guys to get together. Alexis and Yvonne, both of you guys can weigh in on this. For kids, especially for Black kids, this has probably been a discussion their whole lives. So what is the different understanding at what age? I mean, what are the voices like from, if you're talking like a 5-year-old up to a 15-year-old?
Absolutely. So my daughter is 7. And of course, as a mother, I was not trying to show her the murder of George Floyd on TV because she's 7.
Right.
And she came to me and said, "Mommy, have you seen and heard about George Floyd?" And of course, I had seen it. And I said, "Well, why don't you tell me?" And she told me the entire story from beginning to end at 7. So they are keenly aware, and she learned about it on TikTok. Okay. So there's a lot of movements on TikTok as well. And then she immediately asked me, "Mommy, my skin is not a weapon, and why do white people hate us so much?" And at 7 years old, that is not something that I want my child or anybody's child to have to ask or even experience. And then you have older children like Jaden and Jared, who went to Minneapolis because they had that compulsion in them that they were tired. As 10th and 11th graders, they're so tired that they're going to protest already. So you're absolutely right. The age range doesn't matter. All of these children experience it in some way. And I'm so glad that they're all speaking up to put an end to racism now.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I'd also add that one of the things that I think you innately know it, but it was frightening, was the fact that Jaden goes to a Catholic school. He's a pole vaulter. He's an honor student, and none of that made him immune. So as he began to tell me about the things he was experiencing, I thought I had put him in an environment where he would, I'm sure, we always know that there's subtle racism. You're going to be watched in the store, but I had no idea the magnitude. And it just made me realize you can't protect him from this. We in our organization are already teaching our children what to do when they encounter the police. So you may already know, let me just say this, Jack and Jill is the Chicago chapter of Jack and Jill. We are an organization of mothers. We are raising the next generation of African-American leaders. Part of raising them, though, is that they have to get to be adults, right? And so we have had all kinds of programming where cops have come in and other people have come in, law enforcement, to teach them what to do if you're stopped. And for Jaden particularly, it's very different. Like when he's with his friends, they want to know, why are you stopping us? We didn't do anything. Jaden doesn't do that. You put your hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. You say, "May I get my license?" And for our younger kids, we tell them put their hand on the back of the seat or put their hand on the dashboard. That's really does something to you as a mother to have to teach your child that. And so I think that's why now.
Tanya, we want to give you a chance.
And I'll say for me, my children are 12, 13, and 3. And they didn't have the experience of seeing anything on social media or TV, except unfortunately the looting. And so when they saw that, they didn't know anything of what was going on. So I decided to take them to 53rd Street in Hyde Park for them to see the community, to see the people who were there cleaning up and the devastation. But it wasn't about the devastation only of the businesses, it is of the entire, the problem, the systemic racism, the rage of the people and why everyone is so upset. And so I wanted them to be among people in the community to see what was happening, right? To hear from everyone and how they felt. Well, while we were there, we received a call that there was some looting on another part of town. And I realized I needed to go home because I had a 3-year-old. I was pushing a stroller while there, but I wanted my children to understand what the end result of the disease of racism is. and to understand the symptoms, right? And then to move back to understand the disease itself. And I needed them to see firsthand what is happening in their community, because I couldn't take them downtown, right? And this was Memorial Day weekend after the protest downtown in Chicago. And so after that, there was a Jack and Jill conference call on planning the year. And I was sobbing, just sobbing and crying. And Alexis called me and said, we have to do something. Like, we have to do something for our children. My daughter is upset. We're upset. We're not okay. And we also wanted to find an environment where everyone who has children could bring their children and safely stand up and speak against racism and feel comfortable and safe for their children. And you can't imagine the number of people that responded and said, thank you for doing this. We can't go downtown, but we can come to Hyde Park. We can come to Drexel Avenue and protest as a family and bring our strollers to protect our children and stand against racism.
And this is Gabrielle next to you?
Yes, it is.
Gabrielle, how old are you?
I'm 11.
Okay, what'd you think about the protest?
I thought it was really cool, and I just wanted to go because I wanted to show that like, even though we're kids, we still have voices too, and we are growing up in this environment that's very bad. And I want, like, my little brother and the next generation that's African American to be safe. So yeah.
Awesome. Yvonne, fill us in. Who are these other babies in here? I should say bright shining stars.
We have London, we have Christina, I think we have Nigel as well. All of them were at the march, and we thought you should hear their perspective. So we give you a great age range.
Yes.
Let's start with London. London, what did you think of the march, and why was it important for you to make your voice heard?
Because as a kid, I didn't really like what happened when George Floyd was murdered. So I thought to myself, this shouldn't be right, and there needs to be a change in this world right now.
Wonderful.
Nigel, what about you?
Well, I think people need to know what they have to do, and they need to know that they have to speak up and make sure that this isn't going to become normal for people. And they have to make sure that something needs to put a stop to this and something needs to change. And that's protesting and just trying to bring equality.
Christina, what about you, sweetie?
I think that it's good to protest because when other people aren't treated good like us Black people are, because it's supposed to be equal. All of us are supposed to be treated equally. So I went to the protest to fight for equality and peace. And when George Floyd kept calling out people's names for help, nobody helped him. So I'm just protesting for everyone to have equality and peace.
Oh, so well spoken.
And you were all part of the demonstration this past weekend. What was it like to be part of that moment?
Well, it was really good because I felt very happy that we were protesting for other people's lives. Like, everyone that's not being treated equally, they're calling for help, but nobody helps them. We're trying to help them have equality, and when they call out people's names, and when they need help, they'll actually help them and interfere to help, and not just stand there and watch them get hurt.
Very well said, sweetie. Alexis, you have generations of your family who have been marching for civil rights. Do you feel like anything's changing?
I do, honestly. While my father protested in 1968, he was 17, living here in Chicago. He remembers that protest very well. My uncle is Father George Clements, who recently passed away in November of last year, and he marched on Selma with Dr. King as well. And I asked my father, what do you feel? And he said he felt it was kind of bittersweet. He felt good that he was with his grandkids, teaching them about their rights to protest and for their voices to be heard at such a young age. But he was also melancholy because it did bring back memories for him about protesting when he was 17 years old about this very same topic. And while we have made great strides throughout the generations, this generation is just not having it anymore. We cannot say that we're putting an end to racism and 50 years later, just from my father's being 17 years old, just 50 years from that age, that, you know, we still have Black men being murdered in the streets, that we have Black women like Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor still being murdered for no reason. And so change has got to happen quicker. And this generation is just not having it. And I'm so glad that their voices, that they're using the tools available to them today, all the social media that they're using, so that their voices can be heard and that they can bring offenders to justice more quickly.
Yeah. Jaden, I want to ask you what you feel like adults can do to better support you.
I feel like adults can do a lot to support the youth. Protesting is a big thing, but I feel like voting is a very important thing. Write letters to our mayors and legislators, because that's how you get things changed, is by allowing politicians to hear our voices. Because if we don't understand what we want as the people to change, nothing will change by us marching. We have to take further action than just being seen in the streets.
Over at Jack and Jill, how do you prepare these children for, you know, a demonstration or protest like that?
Interestingly enough, it was 1 week. It was 7 moms, I think, or 5 moms and 2 dads. And it was all hands on deck. I would say, though, the peacefulness and the behavior, the well-spoken children, how they comported themselves is probably indicative of our children all the time. We need a different spin for them to see what we already know, that we didn't really have to tell them a lot about being safe or behaving themselves. It was mostly us getting the mechanism to be sure that we could put the whole thing on, to be honest. And I will also say here, we want to thank all of the people that worked with us, all of our allies. No movement has happened just because the people involved chose it. LGBTQ did not happen because those people decided we should have rights. Holocaust didn't end because the Jewish people said, we think you should stop doing this to us. And slavery didn't end because we didn't want it to. That's not what happens. We need white, brown, Latino, everybody, Asian, to work with us. And unfortunately, I think even in our conversation, you don't see the cross-cultural support that we had at that march. And I think that that's an important thing to bring up. So while Jack and Jill Chicago chapter really tries to teach our children about leading and excelling in life in general, I think those principles are applicable everywhere. So we were really proud to see that they just rose to the forefront in this particular experience.
And I would like to add that I know another thing is that we've all had to have very tough conversations with our children at even a very young age. So to prepare them for a protest is really just to prepare them to have their voices heard, to prepare to make posters to say what they're feeling and what they're experiencing. So it's not a lot of preparation in that. That's easy, right? We want the outlet to be a positive outlet for them to realize the steps that they need to take to be able to make a change. So, you know, they were already ready. We just needed to give them the opportunity.
Well, I will say I often find they're the quietest voices, but they resonate the loudest with people, especially when we're talking about kids talking, right? Tanya, give me some of the reaction that you've gotten from the community and community leaders watching these kids march down the street.
Oh, just an overwhelmingly amount of positive support. Again, many people reached out to me through social media, through text, through email, saying, we needed something like this in our community. It was wonderful to see the cross-cultural exchange of ideas, and people with their families and their strollers and the signs, right? The signs were awesome. I mean, they were epic, right? Because everyone was able to express themselves very differently, but all come together. And I will say the videos that we have don't really show all of the people that represented all the cultures that were there, but we had so many people to say, this was what we needed. We felt safe. Our children felt like they could shout and raise their fists and their voice and be able to protest and be a part of this movement and to be a part of the change that we need.
I almost feel like this is something that should be replicated in multiple communities around the Chicagoland area, because I guarantee that there are other young people out there that feel the exact same way, that want to speak out and don't know how to.
That's a great segue. Alexis and Tanya have already do what they want to do next. And Jaden was like, we need to get out of our neighborhood and march so other people can see us. Yeah. We were fortunate. We feel people hung out of their windows. Everything that we got was positive. People coming into the community, as well as people that were in the community. I have friends that marched in other neighborhoods, and they did not experience that. Not Chicago, but in other states. Talking to friends where people, hurled racial epithets, and they did not feel supported. So we're trying to figure out how we take this movement and our children into other spaces so that they can be seen. Because I think there's a difference when children say it to your when we do it. But we have to be sure that we're safe. In this particular instance, we were supported by the alderman. We were supported by Kim Fox, our state's attorney. We were protected by the police. We were supported. So this was not a bully pulpit against any one thing, but to Tanya's point, systemic racism, which allows these things to occur. So in order for us to replicate that, we're going to need that continued support as we take our children to other neighborhoods where the neighbors may not look like them. And we hope that our allies come out with us again when we do that, because we do plan to continue the work.
Have there been any talks so far of what those neighborhoods might be?
No, we haven't discussed specifically about which neighborhoods that is going to be, but we are working on what our next plan will be. And we have a protest action guide that we put together that they can download on our website for all families, because we want everyone to take action. So we put together this guide. It has resources for young kids, teenagers, your entire family, adults, and it's going to help you know what your next steps are going to be. And then join in with us on our website, kidsprotest.com. You can subscribe and find out when we're going to have our next protest, event, whatever it is, so that our children's voices can continue to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to ask the kids here, Christina, Nigel, London, Gabrielle, Jaden, has any of this made you think about possibly running for office one day, or getting into political work, maybe a future president or lawmaker? Nigel says yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay, Nigel, go ahead.
it hasn't really made me think big into it, but it's funny because like when my parents were showing it to people, a lot of people were saying future President Nigel, and people were like that. That's like kind of funny.
Why is it funny? It's a real thing.
I'd vote for you.
I would too.
Nigel for president. Nigel for president.
One of our speakers, and I think his voice really resonated. The poise with which he was able to express himself really resonated with people.
That's great.
Yeah.
I almost wondered if this is something that you pair up with other park districts, because every community has a park district, that they might be the leaders. They can help find you guys the space and, get you in connection with each of the village leaders. And, that would be the way to kind of take it into different communities, because they all have that, right?
Right. We do welcome any and all partners who want to be allies and support the voice of the youth to put an end to racism and to stand for justice. So, we welcome all of that. These it's going to take an intergenerational and an interracial collaboration and force to put an end to racism. So we welcome that.
We have a few people on our Facebook page now saying Nigel for president. Go Nigel.
Yes.
I love it. Jaden, you're 17. Are you a junior or did you just graduate?
I'm a junior, so now I'm going into senior year.
Okay, nice, nice. Do you have any idea where you might be, what you might be going to do, what you might want to do, or how this could be inspiring you this moment now?
Like you mean what colleges I want to go to?
College or what you want to, career choice?
I want to be a bioengineer. Right now I want to go like somewhere in Florida, for pole vault.
Somewhere in Florida for what?
For pole vault, it's a track and
Oh,
field.
nice.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
You guys are, it's great to see, because none of this is easy. I mean, for the younger kids especially, it's harder. Some kids are shy, but you got to do it because that's the generation that needs to make the loudest noise, right? Because it's going to affect you guys the most if we can change it fast enough.
And realizing that we're doing this during the middle of a pandemic, right? We understand that it's a very difficult time, but we had to make a decision to try to be as safe as possible. I mean, we had masks that we were donating. One of our Jack and Jill members she sewed masks to be able to donate. We had protest packs from the University of Chicago with masks and water and things, right? Because it's still so very important during this time for us to stand up. So we have to be able to stand up, but we also have to be safe and keep our children safe. And we socially distance. We told everyone, hold your arms apart, try to stand away from each other. So that's one of the challenges also with having protests in different neighborhoods is we want to really respect the health guidelines also. Right? So it's a balance we're trying to make.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, I just give it up to you mothers, you beautiful Black mothers. We just celebrate you. I mean, my goodness, you're heroes. At the same time, you're comforters and healers, and you're also teaching e-learning. So also at home teaching
yesterday.
Oh, it was your last day?
Yesterday was the last day of school.
I'm like, this is a lot. I dream of being a mom, and I'm just like, ooh, child.
Call me, girl. Call me, girl. Call me.
Shout out to the youth.
No, thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, and to all the young people, thank you so much for sharing your voice as well. It matters, and we hear you.
Have a great summer, kiddos, and have some fun and stay safe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, wow. Here we go. Jack and Jill, you guys, Jack and Jill Inc.org. And of course, Jack and Jill Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. You can check out all the amazing things they're doing. They've been in the community for a long time now. And so clearly they are evolving with the times. That's always good to see.
I would love to see them make it into other communities and bring my kids out to, it's just be a part of it because it's history too, and even if they don't understand it all that much, just to be a part of something like that I can show them when they get older, like you had your voice heard, you were part of it.
It still matters because I think you still appreciate it. You still look back and you understand the movement and what was going on to an extent. And of course, to put it in context years later, I think about that when just being for other events that I was young for. Like I remember hearing about the LA riots and major things like the O.J. Simpson trial and just major times in history that I can appreciate. And you just remember how it feels as a young person, as a young child. So I think it matters.
I'm just amazed that, some of these kids are 7, 8, 9 years old and they are woke. Like when I was 7, 8, 9, OJ was going down. The LA riots, but I didn't care. I was worried about Power Rangers and trying to get outside with my friends and basketball and football. This is really awesome to see kids like politically active and engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on.
I think so many parents are having that same conversation you're having, Amy, of how much do I share with my child? What do I tell them? I want them to be informed and involved and a part of change and a part of society, but also want to protect them. I want to hold on to their innocence as long as you can.
Well, and as Tanya was talking about the pandemic, and they have to be careful with that during the march, like Henry was very stressed about the pandemic. How much more do you load on him about protesting civil rights and what's going on in the world around him? He needs to know these things, but understanding that their knowledge base and how they take on stress is so much different than we do as adults because they don't have the outlets we have. So it's tough. And like these kids, same thing. I mean, they're out there, marching for civil rights and dealing with a pandemic at the same time.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much
they should not have to worry about.
Right.
And I wonder how much the internet kind of contributes to these kids being able to be more knowledgeable and able to be more expressive about this, right? I mean, I saw a great article from a scholar. He called this the Traylon generation, You know,
Mm.
Trayvon Martin, that took
Mhm.
place, what, 2011, 2012 when he was killed?
That long ago? Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, these kids have grown up in an era where we've seen things documented, these high profile cases. So it's just amazing to see this movement. I love
Yeah.
it.
You have to talk to your kids. There's no way around it because they're either gonna hear from somebody else or the streets or the internet.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
Alexis
you'd
said
rather it
TikTok.
be you.
Her youngest got it
Yeah.
off of TikTok.
You'd rather it be you. Like you have to talk to your kids these
Yeah,
days.
you want to control the message a little bit so they don't get too much, right?
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit, guys. We want to do a quick look at your weather today because it is hot out there. You can see the haze. It's an air pollution action day until midnight tonight, so it is hazy out there. Not much cloud cover, however. It is just a warm day. Feel 85 degrees right now. The real field temperature is 91. The high today, actual temperature is going to be 92. Likely going to feel closer to 97, 98 when it's all said and done. So be careful when you get outside today. You need a little sunshine. You just don't want too much of it, and stay hydrated. Another hot, humid day tomorrow. Going to be more humid tomorrow, 92 degrees. On Sunday, we get up to 85, and then we've got chances of showers and thunderstorms. And those chances are going to stick around to some degree Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just because we're in that unstable atmosphere, you could see those showers and thunderstorms popping up. Father's Day on Sunday won't be a complete washout. Looks like later in the afternoon, we're going to have mostly cloudy skies and a couple rain showers, but we should get some time outside. 88 on Monday, 80 on Tuesday. It starts to dry out a little bit. And then we're sticking to right where we should be as we head into next week. I am now going to step out. We have our Juneteenth special. Felicia and Brandon are taking over. Have a great show, you guys.
Okay. Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Amy.
Amy, appreciate you.
Yes, we've been planning for this. We've been so excited about this. So let's
yes.
kick things off. As
Felicia,
hundreds of thousands.
Blackity black.
Yes, blackity black. As hundreds of thousands protest in Chicago and across the nation march for police reform.
Calls are getting stronger and they're getting louder for June 19th, also known as Juneteenth, to be recognized as a national holiday.
And the holiday, which gets its name from the combination of June and 19th, is also known as Emancipation Day.
And here to explain more, my guy, Chris Miller. He's the Senior Director of Education at the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center in good old Cincinnati, Ohio, where I'm from. It's an amazing museum. If you've never been, it's a short drive, 4.5 hours away. And it's got so much good content and history to see there. Chris, you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We hear you. Good to see you, man.
Oh, good to see you as well. Just to give you a heads up, you ain't got to rush with me. I'm not quite sure what the total platform, but I got time. Just to let you know.
All right. Oh, hey. Hey, we'll use it, man. We'll use it. So first of all, appreciate you being here. I want to talk about what Juneteenth is about. For those who aren't aware, what is this day? What is Juneteenth?
Juneteenth is a opportunity for us to discuss inclusive freedom, discuss what the possibilities, and also to acknowledge our contributions and our inclusion into this country. It's the exodus out of enslavement, chattel enslavement, into what freedom looks like. And so we've been struggling with what freedom looks like for us for many years, and we continue to have those struggles. But Juneteenth symbolizes the end of bodily bondage and systematic enslavement.
Mm-hmm. I'm so happy to see this happening right now. Look at everything that's going on in our country, and for us to be in the middle of Juneteenth and this celebration, seems like we're going to get more people than ever, and this impact is going far and wide.
Yeah, it really is a big movement. So, Chris, I want to ask you about some clarification when it comes to Juneteenth. So, slavery ended 2 years before with the Emancipation Proclamation. Why did it take so long for slavery then to just kind of end?
Okay, well, let me unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation that was signed on January 1st of 1863. What that did was that Emancipation Proclamation, it freed all those who were enslaved in the rebel states. What does that mean? When it was signed, we were in the midst of a war. There was the United States of America opposing the Confederate States of America. The Confederate States had their own president, They had their own constitution, which protected slavery, the institution of slavery, and they also had their own capital. We must have an understanding that these were two separate countries at war, the Confederate States and the United States. And so for the emancipation to say, this is what you have to do for you in another country, they didn't have to adhere to that because they were the Confederate States of America. That war was still going on. That freedom was not realized until the conclusion of the Civil War. The greatest thing that the Emancipation Proclamation did was it allowed Black men to bear arms and participate in the Civil War, because that changed the momentum for the Union forces.
Okay. Thank you for putting that in a little bit more historical context. And it took time for slaves to be notified that they were free. We have Juneteenth, but it actually spread all the way into December and possibly beyond then. Can you explain that, the time frame that we're looking at there for slaves to be free?
Absolutely. So, quite a bit happened within a short time period. You had the end of the Civil War, which happened in April. You have Abraham Lincoln's final address that he made outside of the White House, which he mentioned in reference about giving enfranchisement to Black men, to give them the opportunity to vote. And then within weeks or a week later, he was assassinated. But then throughout the South, you had slaveholders that were moving their property. That's meaning men, women, and children, those who they had enslaved throughout the entire state of Texas. So if you look at Texas, it's a big state. Where you look where Galveston, Texas is located, it's at the southern, western, furthest part of the state. As a matter of fact, it's a part of an island. And so the Union forces was moving throughout the state to bring General Order Number 3 to these areas. Galveston, Texas was the last area, and that occurred on June 19th of 1865. And so that's how you have that lag of time of getting that word across.
And you mentioned earlier that, you know, the road to freedom, it's not over. We're still fighting this fight. So what is the best way to use this day and celebrate Juneteenth?
First of all, having a better understanding of the correct narrative of our history. It's an opportunity to understand, since it's a lot of uproar about Confederate monuments and Confederate flags, we need to have an understanding of really what those flags really symbolize. Understanding that the Confederacy, the Confederate States of America, was a separate country. And it fostered enslavement. We need to encourage that understanding with our children, with our neighbors, with our communities. Second of all, you must understand also the inclusion of African Americans in their fight for democracy and freedom and justice. What we're doing right now, it took measures before. It's an opportunity to look at all those general orders too. Within that order, there was a 40 acres and a mule. It was a form of reparations that was later rescinded by the president at that particular time after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So it's an opportunity to us really to look at that moment in time in history and gain understanding and also direction of how we move forward today.
And you've got a busy day over in Cincinnati. What you up to?
Well, we had a flag raising ceremony this morning, the first ever in the city of Cincinnati of raising the Juneteenth flag. A lot of people don't know there is a Juneteenth flag that exists. I was a part of that this morning at 12 o'clock as well, p.m. Eastern time. We launched blkfreedom.org. It's a platform where we have a Juneteenth celebration. It's launched. You can go to that website. It is with 5 other organizations across the country. It is a national Juneteenth collaborative. It's never been done before. It's the first time, and it will not be the last. But we need to understand that we just can't have this excitement over Juneteenth because of 2020, because we're in a pandemic, and because we have the social unrest. This has to carry forward into the future.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. Chris Miller from the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center in Cincinnati. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You see the information there on your screen. 50 East Freedom Way. Gotta love it. Thank you.
freedomcenter.org. Brandon, you're from Cincinnati. You're from that area. I've actually never been to that museum. It's something I clearly have to check out.
Yeah, we did actually a piece last Juneteenth about that museum. It is just rich and full of so much history, especially for people that live in the Midwest, because the Midwest had an integral part in the Underground Railroad and the movement of slaves from the South. Cincinnati's right there on that border, Ohio and Kentucky. So Kentucky was a slave state, Ohio a free state. That was the direct bridge. So really interesting to kind of soak in that history there. Well, you know, the events of the past few weeks have made the public outcry for change louder than we've ever heard before. Posting a black squirrel on social media or just using a hashtag, it's not enough to keep that momentum and bring about real change.
That's right. Joining us now to discuss the next steps and how white people can be better allies, we've got Illinois State Representative Cam Buckner, Chicago native rapper and community activist GLC, Chicago native and community organizer Kina Collins, and author of White Lies and pastor of River City Community Church. We've got Pastor Daniel Hill joining us. You guys, we wanted to have this conversation because we want to move things forward. You know, Juneteenth is an opportunity to celebrate, but it is also an opportunity to move the conversation forward, to advance the conversation, and to be all inclusive of that, making sure that everyone is a part of it. So thank you guys so much for being here. I know everyone's getting settled in. Daniel Hill, I see your microphone is still muted there. Make sure you are able to join us. Let's talk about the momentum and the change that's going on right now and how we could keep it going. Cam Buckner, can you start?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question, Felicia. I think that as we look at what's going on around the country, around the state, and specifically in our hometown of Chicago, this time feels a little bit different to many of us. And I think a lot of it is based on the fact that people who may not have been listening in the past seem to be listening now, right? And so I think the question for us is, what do we do with this new energy? How do we take it and make it something that's long lasting and something that's going to effectuate some real life change?
Kina, how about you? How do we move forward this momentum?
Yeah, I think that we need to continue to apply the pressure through the protests, through making sure that we're writing comprehensive policy, making sure that we're engaging our community and plugging in young people in particular to see where their gifts fit in this movement work. Some people will be artists, and that's how they're going to express the liberation, and other people will be on the front line of protest. Either way, we need everybody in that mix. And so it's A, supporting those grassroots initiatives on the ground, and then B, plugging people into the outlets to help them express themselves how they see fit during this time period as the arc of Black Lives Matter continues to grow.
And GLC, you've been using your platform to raise awareness. You've also been on the ground with protesters as well. And we're seeing this big tide turning. How do we move forward, in your opinion?
Man, in my opinion, we move forward. First off, we have to stop calling slavery mass incarceration. We live in a nation where we have a 13th Amendment that was supposed to free African-American people in America. But however, if you say no man is destined to slavery or involuntary servitude unless duly convicted of a crime, if you label that person a criminal, then that person is a slave. So we have to end slavery. We're still fighting for the same thing that we thought we got liberated from on this day in 1865. We're fighting for those same rights today.
I want to bring in Daniel Hill here. He's the author of White Lies and pastor of River City Community Church. I want to bring up this interesting data here from New York Times on 538. Their polling shows that public opinion of Black Lives Matter has shifted dramatically. In just 2 weeks, voter support has increased almost as much as the preceding 2 years combined. Daniel, why do you think we've seen that change in momentum, and how do we move forward?
Yeah, I'm glad for that. I mean, certainly we want to be happy for any positive news that comes out like that. You know, I'm still a bit suspicious of it, right? I mean, it's not like the information that's available to us right now is new. It's not like we've not come in contact with this before. So I hope it represents something. I mean, I still think, I mean, it's just the beginning of a long journey, right? I mean, we're celebrating the end of slavery, but slavery couldn't have existed if the far-reaching nature of white supremacy wasn't what it is, right? And until we can, particularly my people, white folks, can continue to like grapple with just how far and how deep white supremacy still goes and all the narratives behind that, right? We're just gonna end up patting ourselves on the back that we're a little more awake than we used to be, and you know, just the beginning of a long journey, I think.
Because we're talking about changing, a lot of these companies are changing what they represent, and they're of course supporting Black Lives Matter. It seems like right now there's a lot of things happening at face value, but we have to talk about changing the heart of a man. How do we do that?
I mean, it's both, right? I mean, it's like, well, yeah, it's if the heart doesn't change, it's hard to sustain things, but it's also the systemic realities are so severe, right? So I think it tends to be two different processes. I think how the psychology of a white person gets addressed in terms of taking account for how deep white supremacy goes is one process. And then I think within each system, whether that's banking or law or the judicial system or the police system, I think there's similar themes, but it's a very different kind of conversation of like how to address the white power structures within each one of those.
So we're here on Juneteenth celebrating liberation, freedom, but also pushing for liberation and freedom.
Yeah.
What does Black freedom look like in 2020 and beyond? What are some tangible things and things we should be looking toward to show some real progress and change?
Yeah, if I can jump in on that, Brandon. I think it's extremely important today, especially as we talk about liberation and freedom. It's worthwhile to define what freedom means to us. Does it simply mean not being in bondage? Or does it mean having the ability to get a home loan at an interest rate that's similar to a white person? Does it mean sending your babies to a public school in Chicago that's fully funded like the ones in New Trier or Naperville? Does it mean that once those babies matriculate to college that they are not saddled with double the debt as their white classmates? Does it mean that we can open up small businesses without banking discrimination or commercial red line issues in our communities, right? The question is, do you want to be free now? I want to be free, right? What does free look like in real life is the question for us. And we need to be sharpened for that.
Yeah, Brent. Yeah, if I could jump in, I think right now, immediately and tangibly, we need to defund the police. And what essentially that is to say is that we need to take that the bloated budgets that we see in police budgets across America, where Black folks, unarmed, innocent Black people are being gunned down, and investing in increasing funding in the community, into our schools, cleaning the air, cleaning the lead out of the water, giving our students a fighting chance to elevate, giving our small businesses the fighting chance to elevate and build strong local economies. I think that is a way tangibly that we start to move forward. And we also start to move forward by holding elected officials accountable who don't stand at the intersections of that nexus of agreeing with defunding the police.
Yeah. GLC, what would you like to see happen in months and beyond?
What I would like to see, one, I would like to see reparations for Black descendants of American slavery. Two, I would like to see health and wellness equality, including mental health. Three, I would like to see criminal justice and police reform. Four, I would like to see economic development through self-investment with government support. Five, I would like to see public and community safety. Six, I would like to see enforcement of educational excellence, including skills and trades and the arts. Seven, I would like to see low and affordable housing with rent stability. I would like to see 8, international tourism and hospitality, cultural economic development. Number 9, I would like to see legislation for Black contractors and bids. And 10, man, more so than anything else, I want to see Black people with a higher amount than just 3% of this new cannabis industry that America has thrived off of for our people being constantly incarcerated for it. So those are 10 things that I can say right now that we need in order for us to move forward. Because if we say defund the police, that's good, but we have to remove the legislation of this country. We live in a country that is a multi-ethnic nation, but it's only one ethnicity controlling everything for the country. And that's unfair. We need a fair and just society for all.
Yep.
So Daniel,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Keena.
Well, to add on to what GLC just said, which is absolutely important, that's the basic, everything he laid out is the basic definition of defunding the police. And when we say increase funding in community, the final thing that I would add is we cannot continue to have this conversation about Black Lives Mattering without including Black women and trans folk in that conversation. So what liberation truly looks like is that if we're going to be free, all of us need to be free. And so that means that dismantling forms of white supremacy and oppression don't just come from outside of our community, it comes from within our community as well. And we have to lift up the voices of women and girls and the trans folk in our community in order to fulfill that liberation.
So Daniel, how can white folks be better allies in helping, advocate and fight for these changes that are being called for?
I think there's some hard kind of internal kind of work we have to do. I'm glad that some people are starting to see this for the first time. I'm glad that some people who saw it a little bit are seeing it more deeply. But I mean, until we can trace the historical reality of white supremacy to the current manifestations of it now, I don't think we're much use at all, really, right? We have a lot of work to understand how we got to where we got to. And I think that's part of how white supremacy works. It's designed to condition us to not pay attention to it. So once we start paying attention, we got a long way to go to get caught up. And so I think there's a lot of internal work to see how has that shaped who I am and how I become. There's a ton of work to come to understand kind of the external world, how every part of society is organized around that. So I think that's where most of our action needs to go. And then after that, we need to do what we're doing here. We need to follow Black voices that are showing us the way of how to participate, and most certainly not try to take on the problem solving on our own.
Oh, I appreciate you saying working internally there, Pastor Hill, and of course, education for all of us. I think that can make a huge difference to what's going on. Black history is a part of American history, and we need that to be supported. You guys we're of course watching our time here. Pastor Hill, Representative Buckner, Ms. Keena Collins, and GLC. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing what you think the next step should be.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Happy Juneteenth.
All y'all got chills, man. Y'all were speaking some realness. We're going to put their social handles up so everybody can follow them and connect with them. They are change makers in our city and throughout the country, and you definitely want to watch their work. It's just amazing to have this powerful panel here. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
And then Pastor Hill's book, White Awake, that's on his website. All right. As we celebrate Juneteenth, it's time to raise a glass to Black winemakers. It's a celebration too, Brandon.
Yes, indeed. I'm always down to raise a glass. Okay, come on. So joining us now is the founder of Love Corkscrew Entertainment, Krishan Lampley. She's popping in.
Yes, she is a business owner and has quite a story, and particularly in an industry that is not receptive of anyone who's not a white man. She is definitely making grounds in this industry as well. Krishan, hello.
I can't hear you guys.
She can't hear us. Uh-oh.
Okay, what about now, Krishan?
Do I need to modulate?
Yeah, let's press a few buttons. Press some buttons.
Love her setup.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear us? Oh, it looks like she's using her headphones.
Maybe if you disconnect the earpods, maybe we can chat to her and tell her to disconnect her earpods. Let's see. That's probably the issue. We've had that issue before.
Yeah. I think.
Disconnect the earpods. I don't know how to do it.
Okay, I'm going to take these out.
Okay.
There we go. Can you hear us now?
One sec.
Okay,
Sorry.
she's on the way. As we mentioned, she is the owner, creator.
Okay, disconnect the earbuds. Okay, I'm disconnecting them.
Of Love Corkscrew. And Love Corkscrew, it can be found in Mariano's, Target. This is a wine brand by a Black woman that is certainly growing and expanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome to see, and you're seeing more inclusion. We have some really great people of color who are in the spirits game.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see them getting some love, and we're seeing more of a push for it too nationally. With there's this Netflix movie that came out called Uncorked. Loved it.
Oh yes, that was awesome.
Oh, and I think what I loved most about it was the fact that it gave us a chance to see something we don't see, and that's a Black person doing what is traditionally a white space. You know, being a sommelier. I think that's really cool. So as we push to see more inclusion. I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It looks like she's working to get connected there. We'll still wait for her. Wait to hear her incredible story, because she's also overcome some health issues as well. And she's been in this industry for, I think, less than a decade now. And for her to have her products all around the country, like I said before, in stores that we know, like Target and Mariano's, to have her stuff on the shelf is just really huge, extremely inspiring. And just to be out here doing it as a Black woman, as a person of color, is extremely inspiring.
Well, yeah, it's not an easy game to get into regardless of your race, right? But then you add on the microaggressions and the pressure of being Black and trying to push into an industry where you're going to face all kinds of backlash. Woo, that's a whole nother journey. So I'm really excited to hear her perspective when it comes to that. She got some great cocktails. Felicia, what's your go-to drink?
My go-to.
Go-to Juneteenth drink.
Well, just for love corkscrew, for the sake of that, I will share they have this awesome Pinot Grigio that is so balanced, and this Pinot Grigio that has the tartness, still a little sweet, still a little dry, always balanced out. But I love a good margarita.
Oh yes, I love a good margarita. I love it. All right.
It looks like we're struggling to get Krishan back in. We'll try to see if we can get her back a little bit later because we really wanted to highlight her. Again, Krishan with Love Corkscrew if we are not able to get her back. But the party doesn't stop here.
It does not. It's game time. And our friends from the WGCI Morning Show, they are joining us now to play Black Card Revoked. Y'all heard of this game? It's a game which celebrates Black history and culture, created by two Black entrepreneurs. What's up, y'all? Look at them.
Hey!
What up?
I miss y'all.
Black, y'all. I'm black, y'all. I'm black. I'm black, y'all.
Yes, that is certainly a reason to rejoice. Hello.
Yes.
Happy to see you guys. Okay, we want to get to this game. How you guys been doing today?
Great.
Yeah, we're good, man. Everything is all love.
I love it. I love to hear it.
We put the questions in quiz show format. So those of you watching at home, you can play along. Just head to the website on your screen or download. We're going to pop that up here in a second, and you're going to type in the code to play along with the game. There you go. That's how you join in. That's the game code, and that's how you join in and join the fun, inclusive game here.
Yeah.
And Leon is going to be our host. Ceremonies here.
So I'm going to be your host, and it's been tough for me because I didn't know if I wanted to use my game show guy voice or because it's Juneteenth. Look here, man. We about to play this here game. You understand me? So
I want the second one.
I'm going to go a little bit in the middle with it, all right? So here's how the game works. Each team will be given multiple choice questions, 10 of them. You got 10 seconds to decide your answer. Your points for correct answers will increase throughout the game. So will the points we take away for each incorrect answer. And better not none of y'all on this panel get anything wrong, or else I'm taking black cards today. Please believe me, you will be reduced to a middle-aged white woman or old white man if this thing is over and y'all terrible with these black trivia. I'm not playing with y'all.
Even with my Kaepernick shirt on, huh?
And bro, I don't care about none of that. Okay, I'm gonna put you in some orange hair and give you an orange spray tan if you mess this up.
Okay, let's start playing.
All right, here we go. You ready? Who's gonna go first?
We'll let our guests go first. Go ahead.
All right, question one. Which black fashion designer is best known for designing the iconic Playboy bunny costume? Is it A, Zelda Wynn Valdez, C, Kanye West, B, Etta Mae Richardson, or D, Andre Leon Talley?
I'm gonna go with. It's either A or B. It's A or B. What do you think, Kyle?
A.
A.
That is correct. Zelda Wynn Valdez.
That was a complete guess.
Okay.
I knew it wasn't Kanye. And I knew it wasn't Andre.
All right, question two. Question two. Here we go.
Okay.
When it's storming outside, your mama and or grandmama made you do what? A, turn off all the lights. B, wash a load of clothes. C, sing classic gospel songs. Or D, go play in the rain.
Ooh, Felicia.
Oh, you think A?
Right. I think it's A.
Let's see if we get this right. And the answer is A, turn off all the lights.
Did y'all really have to guess that?
Yes, that was easy.
Okay.
My grandma did none of that.
Who
I never met my
it?
grandparents.
All right, number
Okay,
three.
too much information, Felicia. Okay.
Well, y'all can read the question. There you go. The answer is A, Beverly Johnson.
Wait, what's
B,
the question?
Iman. C, Tyra Banks. Or D, Naomi Campbell.
C.
Just place your answers in. Put your answers in.
Okay, we're gonna go with C.
There we go. One got it correct. Okay. Two got it wrong. The best player was from the Jam. That looks like my man Brandon. Question 4.
We got it right.
I'm confused. I thought we had teams here.
Watch the bottom of the screen. It has all of who's answering.
Famously had a beauty of the week page. Oh, that's B, Chet.
Yeah.
A, Ebony, B, Jet, C, Essence, or D, the source.
Jet.
Now look for the
Jet.
bottom when the answers come up. That'll show you who answered it right and who answered it wrong.
Jet.
This is Jet. We're gonna go with Jet.
I haven't been. Oh my God.
We're in the next one.
Okay.
There we go. Now look at the bottom. See, correct answer 2, incorrect answer 0, no answer 1. And then it'll show you who the best player was. Question number 5.
What was it?
GCI, your turn.
Name the first Black singer to win a Grammy. Is it A, Ella Fitzgerald, B, Whitney Houston, C, Billie Holiday, or D, Miss Jackson, Janet Jackson, if you're nasty?
Oh, that one's tough.
It's not Janet Jackson.
The first Black singer. Are the answers in?
Kendra, no?
I'm trying to push. I'm
gonna go C.
I'm going with C too, so I can't push it though.
All right.
No, because it's a Zoom.
The answer is A, Ella Fitzgerald.
I'm like, y'all gotta verbally say your answer.
Terrible.
You verbally say.
Okay, come on. This is
we got wrong. No, that's all right. That's the first one we got wrong.
Finish this phrase. Stop crying before.
According to Kanye.
A, I give you something to cry about.
Well, that's not what's on screen.
No. According to Kanye, who doesn't have the answers?
Sway. It's D.
Y'all get the easy questions.
They are.
I didn't know that one.
Everybody
was
easy. Y'all all are answering.
Dang,
okay, real quick, I have a question. Are we teams? Because we were taught that we were teams, so we're individual.
Yes. You still have to answer right with your partner though.
We're teams. We don't have the phone. We're not putting it on the phone though.
Yeah.
Sway didn't have all the answers. Sway did not have all the answers.
Oh, well, what was the answer?
Sway.
Sway.
Oh, okay.
Sway. You don't have all the answers, Sway. You don't have all the answers. When
I
he
was
was asking
Brandon on that one.
about
All right, we only got. That's all right, Kendra. We only got Ella Fitzgerald. We got one.
Okay.
Wrong.
Okay.
Right.
We all good.
I want to win. I came to win.
Yo, but real quick though, y'all did have the easy ones though. You
I
didn't
had
know
the easiest questions ever.
Listen.
And Felicia didn't even know the answers to the easy questions.
Right. You didn't have the grandma advantage. My grandma didn't do all that.
It's safe to say Brandon's Colin Kaepernick shirt helped him out. He got best player like twice. But other than that,
we didn't play right. We all messed the game up.
yeah, other than that, this was like, hey man, meet me at the peace rally, but we 2 blocks away from each other. Wondering where each other at. We got our signs and everything, but it's like, hey, you block over. Kyle, where you at?
Oh man. All right, guys. I love you as always. I'm glad we could bring you in for this. And hey, stay black.
Stay black. Black and black, y'all. Black and
Everybody,
Happy Juneteenth.
everybody watch Color Purple and Cooley High tonight.
Yes.
I watched Cooley High last week.
No, we got to go back to roots.
And that's some information about Black Carpet Vote, guys. A great game. You definitely want to get in on that and play. And that wraps up our Juneteenth special, everybody. WGTime Morning Show. Make sure to tune in for them.
No, I thought we were going to check in with Krishan. Oh, okay. We got to go.
We've reached the end of our time. Yeah, unfortunately. So we got to wrap up our Juneteenth special here. But there is more of the jam coming up. We're back live with Melissa Dupree from 50 Blind Dates at 2 p.m. And you can now watch us live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So keep it locked, 2 p.m., y'all.